All right, so in this video, we're focusing on finding the particular solution. This is probably the most important one because it offers you the majority of your points, okay? So I want you guys to take a look here. So in 2006, all right, the finding the particular solution is in part B. Before we do that, I want you to go ahead and go to the scoring guidelines and actually look at it yourself, okay? If you take a look at the 2006 scoring guidelines, 7 points are allotted here out of the 9. That's a big chunk of your points, okay? In 2005, they also asked for the particular solution. They offer you 5 points here in part C. In 2006, 6 points. So you guys get my drift. It's a good chunk of your points, okay? So you want to make sure that you get this down. These should be automatic points by the time you guys take the exam, okay? You definitely want to do this part on a separate sheet because we don't have enough space here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wedge in a page. Okay, so here we have the differential equation dy over dx is equal to 1 plus y over x. I'm going to go ahead and write that down. Dy over dx is equal to 1 plus y over x. Okay, and they give me an initial condition here. Now where it says state its domain, we're going to ignore that because they actually dropped that requirement a long time ago. Okay, so you guys won't be expected to do that part for the AP exam this year. So I'm going to write this down. This is just like homework number 16. Okay, but you got to be super careful. I'll show you guys why afterwards. But here we go. First, we separate. So I know that because y's are on top here, I want to keep down the left. So that means I would have to divide 1 plus y to the left side. Okay, and that means I would have to multiply by dx to the other side to move the x's on the right. That'll cause my 1 plus y to cancel out and my dx's to cancel out. I'm going to end up getting 1 over 1 plus y dy equals 1 over x. Notice how x is still down below dx. Okay, so remember sci-fi, right? Okay, we separate, then now we have to integrate. Okay, if you integrate here, 1 over anything linear, only linear, will give you some type of natural log. So here it'll be the natural log of the absolute value of 1 plus y equals the integral of 1 over x is just the natural log of the absolute value of x. And don't forget your plus c. Don't forget your plus c. So we separated, we integrated, now we have to find c. So here we go. We plug in our initial condition here. So I know that x is -1 and y is 1 here. So that'll be the natural log of 2 is equal to the natural log of the absolute value of -1, which is 1. Okay, actually, I'll just put 1 here. Plus c. All right. Now, you should know that the natural log of 1 comes out to 0. You should know that. And if you don't know that, make sure that you remember it. So c comes out to a weird natural log of 2, but it doesn't matter. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and plug c in now. Okay, so c is the natural log of 2. And, I'm trying to make a habit to curving my L's so that they don't look like 1s or absolute values, okay? Okay, so we separated, we integrated, we found c, now we isolate. I taught you guys this in the previous lesson, but just to reiterate, don't simplify anything, okay? Keep it as bare as possible. So to get y by itself, to get rid of natural log, I would have to have a base of e. That'll cause this to become either a plus or a minus 1 plus y. Okay? Now, the e in the natural log cancels out. And instinctively, I know some of you guys will want to cross these out as well. The only reason why I simplified the left is because I'm trying to get y by itself. Now, over here on the right, you want to keep it as bare as possible. So even though it looks like you can simplify it, don't. And I'll talk about this in a second, okay? Now, in order to figure out if it's the plus or the minus, you go back and you look at the overall result. When we plugged in y into here, the overall result came out positive. So we're going to use the positive answer there, okay? So I'll get rid of the minus. So because it's positive, I can just call this 1 plus y is equal to all of that. Let me go ahead and copy paste this. Boom. Okay, so last thing to do here is to get y by itself. So I know that y will equal e to the natural log of the absolute value of x plus natural log of 2, all upstairs, minus the 1. And there you have it. Okay? I want you to take a look at the point system now. Okay? Every scoring guidelines is a little bit different, but generally they have the same type of scoring, okay? Now I want you guys to understand how to read this. I think this is the one that we did. Okay, so take a look. They give you 1 point just for separating the variables. Okay, they give you 1 point just for separating the variables. Now the next one is a 2 or nothing here. If you integrated both of them correctly, okay, so they give you a point for separating, and then they give you a doubler there if you integrated both correctly. Okay, if you did not integrate both correctly, you lose out on these 2 points. Okay, now if you read the note here, note maximum 3 out of 6 if no constant of integration is there. Pretty much if you don't put a plus c, you're done. Like you're done, you forfeit all of the remaining points. The most you can earn is 3. Okay? But if you have a plus c here, they use the k, but really don't flip out on that, okay? If you put a plus c there, you actually get the 4th point just for putting a plus c. Okay? Now, when you actually find c, they give you that 5th point. Okay? And when you solve for y, which is here, you get that 6th point. Okay, now it says 7 because the 7 was the domain one, but remember, we don't need to deal with that. Okay, so 2 things. These points are very easy to get with practice. Okay, another thing. If you do not separate correctly, you've forfeited all of these points. You cannot know how to do all the integration and the solving and the finding the C, but mess up on the separation part. So make sure that you guys are good with separating and then integrating and then finding C and then isolating, okay? Notice how the answer looks nothing like mine. And this is where the strategy comes in, okay? Our answer definitely does not look like what we have in the scoring guidelines. And long story short, it doesn't matter. Let me give you an example, okay? Let's say the answer to a random problem was y equals 10, okay? But you wrote y equals 4 plus 6, okay? So my question to you guys here is, do you get the point or do you not get the point? So the rule is if your answer is equivalent to the actual answer, you still get the point. So even if you wrote y equals 7 plus 3, as long as it's equivalent, you get a point. Even if you wrote something weird like 3 squared plus 1, you would still get the point. If you wrote the square root of 100, you would still get the point because all of these here are equivalent to 10, okay? You do not get extra points for simplifying, So in a way, we're kind of, I don't want to say cheating the system, but we're being very strategic in that we keep things as bare as possible. Keep this as bare as possible, okay? Because you don't get extra points for simplifying. So be stingy with your work, okay? In fact, if you were to simplify, but you simplify incorrectly, you actually lose out on the point. So you could actually lose points by doing too much. So do the bare minimum, okay? In the sense of strategy, okay? So the whole idea here, and you'll hear me mention this a lot, equal is equal, okay? You don't have to have exactly what's on the scoring guideline to earn the point. That is just a loose rubric. But as long as it's equivalent, equal is equal, you will get your points there, okay? Okay, I'm going to try one more with you, which is 2006 Form B here, okay? I actually want you guys to try this one out. Is this the second one? Well, actually, no, 2005. Whoops, I skipped that one. So 2005 here, let me go ahead and just clear this. Go ahead and try 2005, Part A. Sorry, 2005 Form A, Part C. And then press play when you're ready. Go ahead and make sure that you guys are labeling your problems so that you can organize it, okay? 2005 Form A, Part C. We have dy dx is equal to negative 2x over y with the given condition of f of 1 is equal to negative 1. Okay, press play when you're ready. All right, if you separate it correctly, you should get y dy is equal to negative 2x dx. You multiply both sides by y, and you also multiply both sides by dx. Okay? Every problem is set up differently. Since I'm dividing by y on the right, that is why I multiplied by y. And since I'm dividing by dx, that is why I multiplied by dx. But every problem, just like that last one, was a little bit different. So, right away, you get 1 point right here, I believe. We're going to see. So let's integrate now. We separate it. Now we integrate. That's y squared over 2 is equal to negative 2x squared over 2 plus the c. I want to say that we'll get 2 extra points for integrating and maybe another point for a plus c. Now over here, some of you may be inclined to simplifying. Again, you can if you want to, but if you do decide to simplify, that leaves more room for error. So again, keep it as bare as possible, okay? I'm going to go ahead and plug in my given condition here where x is 1 and y is negative 1. I end up getting 1 over 2 equals negative 1 plus c. Okay, so if you solve for c, that should come out to 3/2. I assume I will get another point there. Okay, we'll see if we're right. Last step is you plug it back in. You plug your c back in. So y squared over 2 is equal to negative 2x squared over 2 plus the 3/2. So we separate it, we integrate it, we found c. Now we isolate. Let me use orange here. So to get y by itself, I'm going to first multiply by 2. I'm going to multiply by 2. Y squared will equal, now I know you guys really want to distribute that 2, but don't. Keep it as bare as possible. Be stingy with your work. Okay, notice how I didn't distribute at all, okay? To get y by itself here, I'm going to have to square root. So remember, with a square root, you end up with either a plus or a minus square root of all of that. And notice how I did not simplify anything. Okay? So in order to figure out if it's plus or minus here, it's going to be based on your y-coordinate. So take a look at the y-coordinate here. Since the y-coordinate comes out negative, The only way to get a negative answer is if you're dealing with the negative root. So we can go ahead and get rid of that. And there is your answer. Okay? And then I think you'll get another point there. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm counting 6 tick marks, okay? So let's take a look at that scoring guidelines. I think it's right here. Okay, so they gave us 5. Not that far off, okay? They actually gave us, okay, so they gave us a point for separating. They only give you 1 point for the antiderivatives, okay, instead of 2. They give you a point for putting a plus C. They give you a point for finding C, and then they give you a point for solving. Notice how that this is not exactly what we got, but equal is equal, okay? So here's where I'm going to end it, okay? There are a lot of other problems where you need to really practice, okay? And the only way you're going to get good at this is if you keep doing these problems, all right? But here's where I'm going to leave you. We want at least 3 points out of 9 for this FRQ. That particular solution alone gives you at least 5 or 6 points. Okay, so this is 5 or 6 points here. Slope fields are about 2 points when given. That's already 7 or 8 points. Okay, so here's what I'm getting at. If you can get a 7 or even an 8 out of 9, these are 3 or 4 extra points that you could put elsewhere to another FRQ. Okay, so if you can maximize the amount of points on one problem, that can help you out with other problems that you may not be so strong at. Okay, getting at least 3 out of 9, you're in a good spot to passing the AP exam. So if this hasn't convinced you yet, I'll convince you some more, but passing the AP exam is very doable, okay? Actually, it's just a matter of do you want a 3, a 4, or a 5, okay? Go ahead and practice, and then text me if you have any questions.